What is good, everybody? Juliana Page here, and I'm going to talk to you about a message that was actually birthed out of a team call. So there is a virtual community that gathers, and we have like-minded goals and lifestyle choices, and we have dreams that we're going after. We just happen to want to work and build together, which is really radical and super cool, actually. So we meet monthly, and some of the things that we covered today were really, really powerful. And I want to expound on it a little bit, and then also share a couple of things to help you really lock in how you can see her and be her. So this is a message particularly for women, although if you're a dude, I got you. You can see him and be him too, okay? So first and foremost, I think a lot of times when we have goals, we keep them kind of general, right? Like we want freedom, for example. We want to have more time freedom. We want to have more money freedom. We want to have the luxury of being able to sleep in and not feel bad about it. We want to have just the capacity to vacation for a month and not ask for permission, right? We want to be able to pay a big expense off in cash in full with zero debt, right? These are ideas that we have, and they're actually really strong desires and things that we want, that we care about. And we just put that under the umbrella of freedom. We never really make it personal, and then we can never really set goals and go after it. So that's kind of one of the things that's behind this message. But visually, it's the difference between dipping your toe in the water and then doing a straight up cannonball. A lot of times we dip our toes into things. Like we try, not for me. Oop, that's scary. Oop, that's hot. Oop, I don't like that thing. Rather than, you know what, I'm going like all in on this thing and learning from it. Like there's no failure. There's only lessons, right? Like when you are a leader, when you're an entrepreneur, when you're somebody that is building relentlessly, right? You've got to have a switch in mindset like that, because if you only dip your toes into things, you'll never be successful. You'll be a successful dabbler, right? So that is part of what is behind this message. It's also about how you can really attach personal value to something. So how do you make something personal to you, so much so that it's worth showing up for every day, that it's worth fighting for every day, that it's worth being uncomfortable every day and sacrificing for, right? So what is your thing? How can you become not just passionate about it, because passion helps you get started, but then at some point, passion is just cute. Like you've got to get obsessed with it. And there are healthy obsessions, right? So getting obsessed with it means immersing yourself in it, committing fully to something. There's a concept, right? Committing fully to something so much so that you're consistent with it every day. It matters to you, and you're going to show up like it matters to you, right? So what is a way, for example, that you can immerse yourself into the future you that you're becoming? I have a self-mastery course. It's over on julianapage.com. It's called You 2.0, right? But how can you immerse yourself into You 2.0 so that the reality of who you're becoming is so much stronger than the reality of what keeps playing every day? Because here's reality. If you are somebody that is showing up and just going through the motions, if you're somebody that's just doing what you're good at, if you're somebody that's helping other people be successful, but you're not even doing what you're wired and put on this earth to do, you are going down like a toilet drain. So much wasted time, so much wasted energy, so much wasted potential that you never get back, right? All of the expense of doing this thing because you can. Doing this thing because you've practiced it and you know how to show up and do uncomfortable things for other people. But who are you becoming in the process of showing up and doing that every day? Greater? What are you losing in showing up and only making that matter every day? What is that costing you? Who are you going to become 10 years from now if you keep doing that? To me, that becomes scary. Right? So an example is I got to a point where I thought, man, to some degree, I keep living this pattern where I'm helping other people be successful, where I'm partnering with companies, with organizations, and learning how they operate, and then helping them thrive, and really teaching and facilitating and growing and building with them and giving this great, energy, everything that I've got, just pouring it into it to the point where I'm totally depleted. And none of that has anything to do with what I actually believe I'm put on the earth to do or what my purpose is. To some degree, yes, it's like on the job training, like you're getting paid to learn new skills. So there's that, right? And part of that's valuable. But there comes a point too where you stay because you've convinced yourself that you should, when you're just playing it safe. Like you've stopped taking risks to the point where you don't even feel like you can. And now you're actually in a regression mode. So you're not progressing, you're actually regressing, right? So what's interesting is one of the pains that I had was having a wonderful adoptive father. Okay. This man we called him Saint Mark, right? Because he was a blood and a cancer doctor, showed up, his patients loved him, changed so many lives, so present, so involved at work, but an absent parent, emotionally absent, not present physically, always at work. Financially, we were provided for. However, there was no relationship. And to me, the impact of not having that relationship, of not having that connection, or even having a father that didn't know who I am, was not something that I wanted to continue. I never wanted anyone to feel what that felt like, right? To have the very person that you would expect or anticipate would cover you, would encourage you, would lead you, would guide you, would be there for you, would be somebody that you could count on or run to or be a safe space for you, have no connection whatsoever. That's really hard. And the person is alive. Like you get that when there is the loss of a parent, but when that person is alive and chooses not to have a relationship with you for one reason or another, in this case, work was a huge one, or maybe lack of skills and connection, whatever it is, they still chose not to have a relationship with you. And I value relationships so much that I didn't want that to be my story. So that freaked me out. But because it freaked me out, it was what I focused on, and it's what I started to create. I started to create scenarios where all I was doing was working, wasn't building relationships, wasn't learning who I was and what I was put on the earth to do, wasn't developing, because I was just working. And that was safe, that was comfortable, that was celebrated. But what was I gaining in that? Who was I becoming in that? Was it even what I was put on the earth to be, to do, to become? Scary thought. And I didn't like feeling that out or taking a look at that, but I was more afraid of what would happen if I continued down that path and didn't start exploring or didn't start making adjustments and didn't start doing that work of stopping generational curses, of stopping hurt and pain, of stopping to take a look at what is even going on in my soul so that I can do some of the healing that needs to happen. Yes, we'll all still have issues and things that we need to deal with, right? But I could still learn how to be a whole human, right? And how to not project my things onto other people or perpetuate problems and dysfunction that are really harmful and nobody talks about, right? So a lot of the work or the development or the silent seasons or doing these really difficult journeys of personal development and character development and spiritual maturity and growing and healing, and all of that happens behind the scenes, usually outside of the public eye. And you still have to go to work, you still have to show up and live your life. But the benefits of that, it's almost like pulling back an arrow. So you pull back the bow, so it seems like you're going backwards and wasting your time. Man, when you get to a certain point, you just launch and you shoot generations ahead. And you can create that if you're brave enough to slow down. And so that was a hard thing. I knew how to speed up. I knew how to take action. I knew how to keep doing. I knew how to produce. But is production really productive? It's a good question. So All that to say, I had to redefine what hashtag winning looks like for me. Maybe it's not like what I've seen demonstrated. Maybe that's not winning for me at all, right? Maybe there's a completely different path, but I'm never going to know if I don't slow down, if I don't take the time to ask myself better questions, to start exploring, to start answering the questions, to start healing, to start learning about what I'm thinking about, to start understanding what I'm living with every day and how I really want to show up and who I actually want to become. Catch a vision of that. See her and be her, right? So something that really has helped me is coming up with a way that I can keep giving life to where I know that I'm headed. Because the trap will always be either being afraid of what has happened in the past, so you do everything in the present to protect yourself from that happening again, which means there's probably some unhealed things in your past that still need to be addressed and healed so that you don't use all of your present energy on making sure that stuff doesn't happen anymore. That does not have to be your story. Okay? So there's that way of showing up. Another way of showing up is looking at the future and being paranoid that you feel ill-equipped and don't know how to handle it, so you just trip about it all the time. Future trip. You vision it, but in a way where God isn't in it, and you've got to figure it out all in yourself, and you know who you are as a human, and you ain't got capacity to make all that happen. That's scary. So you just trip about it every day and take no action, and you're not being present in the moment where all your power is, right? Or you can get to a place where you've dealt and made peace with your past so it doesn't come up every day, where you trust that where you are is exactly where you need to be, and you can catch a vision of where you're headed, right? If you practice it every day, even if you practice visualizing who that is 5 minutes every day, you're closer to that than somebody that doesn't have that practice. So practicing to see who she is so that you can be her, see her, be her, right? So catching a vision of who she is. How does she think? How does she show up? How does she influence people? What does her lifestyle look like? What does she do daily? What does she talk about? Right? What good is she doing in the world? How is she serving? Right? What does she look like? What is she doing? In all aspects, right? See her. Then, what is a goal that you can do to help her or show up for her or be her today? What is a goal? One goal, not 7, not 52, one goal, right? And then take the action and celebrate the action every day. So I started making that a simple practice that I could do every day. So I'm going to practice seeing who that is and seeing that fully and clearly in different aspects of it every day, right? And then being really clear on, okay, now that I see that so clearly, what is one thing I can do to be her today and take the action to move closer to that today? Not tomorrow, not next month, not 2 months from now, today, right? So, and then I continue to share it publicly. So I tell the world who I'm becoming, and I invite them to be a part of that journey. So that's something that also keeps accountability for you. So there's a blessing in sharing, and there's a time and place to share. So there's some things like maybe a dream or something that you're working on that maybe you don't share. But some of those things, and you'll know, you can feel in your spirit if you have peace about it, if you can share it, but sharing it puts it out into the world and it makes it real for you. And so then you show up and you start stepping into that more and more every day. So that's an example. But the idea was something that I had to learn how to do was put myself first. And that can feel so foreign, but I'm going to put myself first by seeing where I'm going, catching a vision, because I'm a visionary. I need a vision. But what I was so good at was having a vision of what needs to be done today. What do I need to do today? What is going to be required of me in this position today, right? Like, what are all the things on my to-do list? Like, and just going through the motions every day, being really busy and being really productive, but never getting closer to her. So I had to start thinking about, who is she? Where is she going? What does she value? What does excellence look like? How does she show up? How does she think? How does she express herself? How does she communicate? What is she doing, right? Like, okay, cool. So now that I got a vision of that by putting myself first, and I'm going to spend time getting clear, what is a goal that I'm going to take today a goal that I'm going to set today, put on my calendar. It's not just a vision, it's a plan, and then take action and celebrate. And as I do that every day, I get closer and closer to her, and I continue on this journey of becoming, and it actually becomes fun. I actually enjoy it, and I actually have a strong sense of self and confidence and courage and bravery, and to some degree, comfort taking risks in the sense of, you know, when you need to take one and you actually do it, right? So huge. Just a simple practice is a way to show up and do that every day. So that is kind of where that comes from. Whether you're a guy, see him, be him. Whether you're a lady, see her, be her. So who is it that you really want to become? Stop telling the story of who you've been and all the things that are working against you. They're not, unless you continue to tell yourself that they are. Stop. Sometimes we need a shut up ministry, right? And then the other thing is don't use all of your present energy just visualizing the future without God. Visualize it with God. Who are you with God? Right? Like who is God renewing your mind to become? Who is God renewing a right spirit in you to become? Who is God purifying your heart to become? He that formed you, right? He knows you. He has a good plan and purpose for you. Get a vision of that. Spend time. Ask God to give you greater and greater revelation every day about who that is. Work with God. Co-labor with God on coming up with a goal for today. Sometimes it's a verse. How can you walk out that verse today? Take the action. Usually you need to take the action the minute you don't feel like you can. Oh, I'm too busy. I ain't got time for that. Take the action. Take 5. Make it happen right now. Get in the habit and practice of showing up for yourself. See her, then be her. That can take 5 minutes. Catch a vision and take the action. Maybe it's 10 minutes. But you get the idea. You'll get so much closer to where it is that you actually desire to be if you focus more on that every day than all the stuff that's not working out, than all the news, than everything that's going on in everybody else's social media feed. Check out from that for a second. Give yourself like a real time out. See her and be her. Vision of who she is. Goal for the action that she needs to take today or that you need to take to be like her today, right? And then take that action and start seeing the momentum that you get to build. It's little shifts every day, but it does not happen by excuses. It does not happen by getting caught up in patterns of the past or tripping about the future. It's all in the now and how you're going to focus your energy now. Focus your resource now. Live the best that you are able to now. The highest version of you that you could possibly conceive now, right? And he that is in you is greater than anything around you, right? And God has a plan that is exceedingly above and beyond all you dare ask, think, or imagine. So start asking for more, start imagining more, start thinking about more, and take the action and watch what God will do. That's all I'm saying. See her, be her. Okay? So that's our new hashtag. If you follow me on Instagram, it's at Miss Juliana Page. So my community and I are going to be using that hashtag. I also wanted to share a couple of ways too, if you wanted to expand on this a little bit further and really ground yourself in it. So here's some things to help you be more consistent. It's really important just to build consistency with what you value and what matters most to you every day. So one of the things to do is come up with the target skills that you're going to develop. So for example, if you're following this vision still, when you catch a vision of future self 2.0, right? You 2.0. Again, that is a 6-week self-mastery course over on julianapage.com if you want to take yourself through that process because you need a little more guidance on that. But you 2.0, come up with the target skills that you want to develop. Is it mindset? Is this higher version of you somebody that thinks way different? Maybe somebody that doesn't have like a box limited thinking and all these limiting beliefs. Maybe it's somebody that thinks way beyond that. How can you start training yourself to develop your mindset? Maybe you don't really feel good at communication. Okay, well, how can you develop your speaking ability? Even for 30 days, how can you start developing that skill? Or maybe you don't feel like you are good at connecting with people. Okay, well then how can you develop the skill of connecting with people? You develop it by focusing on it and learning how and practicing the skill. So find out what your target skills are. Give yourself a timeline so you have a focused period of time that you're going to be developing these things. And I would just pick one. Don't do them all at once, but pick one. Give yourself a timeline and set some stretch goals. Like, what are some things you're going to do? So if you want to speak, are you going to develop a keynote? Are you going to launch a podcast and start speaking? Are you going to launch a YouTube video and start articulating messages that are important to you? How are you going to develop your speaking ability? There's an example. Okay, so target a skill, give yourself a timeline and a stretch goal. When are you going to do these things by, and what's really a stretch that you're going to do? Maybe you're going to sign up for a speaking competition. I don't know what it is, but something that's going to stretch you. 2 is develop a visualization practice of some kind. So every day in some kind of way, you've got to start helping yourself see where you're going. A lot of times we get so stuck because we just see where we are, or we see where we've been, and we spend no time visualizing where it is that we really want to go. We don't believe that we can dream big. We don't believe that we can achieve that. We just see limitations, so we don't even bother, right? But if that is your approach, you will stay exactly where you are year after year after year if you're given that, right? Which to me is death. That's no way to live. So a visualization practice, it could even be taking, again, you could set just a timer on your phone and set time. You would just have music on in the background without any kind of lyrics. It could be worship music, whatever it is for you. Just have something where you're calm, where your mind's not all over the place, and you're just able to visualize, where do I see myself a year from now? Give yourself 15 minutes just to like have your eyes closed. If you need like one of those little eye pillow things, whatever, do your thing. But visualize what that is. Spend time doing that every day. It could be getting out a journal and asking yourself questions and just journaling about it. Whatever the practice is for you, start developing it. Start getting clear. If you can see it, you can do it. You can be it, right? Okay. Next thing would be get some accountability in your life. So now that you've got these target skills, you've got a vision, you need somebody to help you stay accountable to that journey. So you need an accountability partner of some kind. Who can keep you accountable? I recommend a coach. I recommend a mentor. These are people that can help you maximize your action. These are people that can hold that vision for you. These are people that are really sold out to your vision and where you're headed and your success. So I recommend that. If you don't have that, a trusted friend, spiritual advisor, whatever you've got, but somebody that understands the power of accountability and can really keep you accountable is huge. Next, ask for some healthy feedback. We all say that we love feedback until we get it. But I recommend getting feedback in your life. You need to be able to hold something up and get feedback for it. So how are you doing? Now that you've got these skills, you've visualized it, you can see it, you're taking some action, you've got accountability in your life, get some feedback. How is it going? You need to constantly be able to course correct on the journey that you're on. So feedback is so helpful with that. And then another thing would be to teach. A lot of times we don't know things, or we don't know what we know until we're teaching it, until we're articulating it. We just don't know. So share everything that you're learning. Share these gems, share these pearls of wisdom with people, these nuggets of gold with people, right? And then you'll see what it is that you actually know, okay? So couple more things. I would say activate your why. This is your vision, but this is really what's going to help you be consistent every day and help you have an emotional commitment. You've got to make it real, and you've got to make it personal for you. So when I say vision, when I say see him, see her, be her, you need to make that so personal and real for you. Why is that worth running after every day? Why is that worth pursuing? Why is that worth giving everything you've got today when there's no immediate value? Why is that worth it? You've got to have something that will help you be consistent. It's the vision, okay? But that vision is basically becoming an obsession so that it's a full-time commitment. It's not just a passion. It's not a hobby. It's something that you're obsessed with, right? Like you're obsessed with growth. let's say. Okay. You're obsessed with showing up as your highest self. You're obsessed with walking in alignment with God, right? Whatever it is for you, but you activate it so clearly that it makes so much sense to you. It stirs up so much not information, but really information, but motivation, right? And momentum that you can be consistent, you can be emotionally committed even when you don't feel like it. And that's really what you need. And then identify your standard of excellence. This is really your I am statement. It's when all the excuses come up, when all the lies come up, you can still say, I am whatever. So if you feel like I am worthy, I am whole, I am more than enough, I am qualified, because God qualifies the called, right? Whatever it is for you, but you want to have these standards of excellence that you're not going to dip beneath. Okay. So you want to have these I am statements that you live by every day. I love that so much that I've got it on my wrist to remind me, but you've got to have these identity statements that call you back into who you are and remind you to see her and be her right here, right now, today. I'm going to see her and I'm going to be her. You become her right now, not years from now. You become her by what you do right now. Okay. So it's necessary to be really clear on who that is. And then really develop a self-talk routine, because that's one of the things that can limit us the most is the way we talk to ourselves. You could have the best coach, you could have the best tools, but if you still have a really, really messed up way of talking to yourself, you will stay exactly where you are, because that's also reflective of your belief. And so if you're not doing the work to see her and building belief and activating faith and how you can set goals and show up and take action to be more and more her every day, so you close that gap, because basically you're here, she's here, and every day you start closing that gap until there is none, right? And then that keeps evolving, I'm sure, right? But you can enjoy that process. But if you're not visualizing who she is, if you're not setting goals to show up as her every day and being really intentional about how you show up, if you're not clear on the standard of excellence that you're going to live by, if you don't hold boundaries, if you don't put yourself first, if you don't make these things necessary, have an emotional commitment, if you have no way to be consistent because you're not building this repertoire of inner strength and tools that you utilize every day, that gap won't close. It's not just like, ta-da, poof, it's happened. It's not how it works. It takes work every day. And the strange thing is a lot of times, and the way we're trained in the world is to produce and take massive action and 10x your action and live, whatever that is, 12 weeks, 12-week work week, whatever that is, 12-week year. We try to just maximize what we can do in a small period of time, right? So we can live a year in 12 weeks. I think is the idea of that, right? Well, that's great. But if you're not clear on where you're going and why you're going there, and you're not obsessed and passionate about it and so ready to show up and be that every day, that gap's not going to close. That's just going to be a nice thing that you talk about and that you can vibe with for a minute. That's not like a deep-rooted commitment. So the message on today is to see her and be her every day. See her and be her. See where you're going so clearly that it's real to you. See it with your spiritual senses. See it on the inside so that it's so clear. So when life and circumstances don't look like it, when challenges come up, and they will, the minute you make a commitment, challenges come up. When lies and self-talk start to try to derail you, when you start to question things, see her. Nope, I know where I'm going. I know who she is. I know what she's about. I know why that's worth it. Set a goal today. What is the goal that you're going to take today to be her, and take that action? I recommend doing this in the morning. Make it a part of your morning routine. And I also recommend reflecting on how close you were to that at nighttime, so that you can set maybe a new intention before you go to sleep, because then you'll wake up thinking about it, and that will just grow stronger and stronger and stronger. And you'll have so much conviction, you'll have so much faith, and you'll have just this new capacity to take risks and do these massive actions that are beyond what you can think or imagine, because God reveals his glory in and through you. It's not just by making all this awesome stuff happen around you. That's also what God can do because he's God, but he reveals his glory in and through you. So check that out. How is God revealing his glory in and through you? How can you catch that vision and set your goals and intentions around living aligned with that every day and take the action, take that aligned action? That would be what I would challenge you to do. If you are tired, woo, what is that verse? I'm going in. You got to like pull up your sleeves. If you know me, I do Spirit-Filled Real Talk. Spirit-Filled Real Talk is a podcast, Spirit-Filled Real Talk with Juliana. You can listen to it on Spotify or the Apple Podcast app, but I deliver Spirit-Filled Real Talk. So I got to get it. If you are, let me grab it. One out scripture. Okay, so it is, I believe it's Matthew 11, 28 through 29. Let's see. 11, 28 through 29. MSG. I like the Message version. Okay. Yes. Are you ready? Matthew 11, 28 through 30. So this is the Spirit-filled part of the real talk that I was just laying down for you. Okay. So are you tired, worn out, burned out on religion and all these rules and things that we make ourselves do and the way we think we should or have to show up? Stop shoulding on yourself. Come to me. Get away with me and you'll recover your life. Come on. That's a word. I'll show you how to take a real rest. Thank you, Jesus, right? Walk with me and work with me. Watch how I do it. Not my will, but your will be done. Not my ways, but your ways, because God's thoughts are not our thoughts and God's ways are not our ways, right? Learn the unforced rhythms of grace. God's vibes matter in Juliana Page language. Learn the unforced rhythms of grace. I won't lay anything heavy or ill-fitting on you. Praise the Lord, right? Keep company with me and you'll learn to live freely and lightly. In Jesus' name, amen. Okay, like, whew. So my word of encouragement to you is, if you know that you're made for more, you've got to decide that you're actually going to live it. You've got to decide that nothing that happened in your past is going to be something that you continue to mull over in your present. You're going to make peace with that. You can't do that on your own. That's something to do with God, right? And the help sometimes of really highly skilled professionals and recovery programs, okay? But that could be your first step. It could also be deciding that you're going to stop living in a way that doesn't make sense anymore. You're going to stop tripping about the future. You're going to stop getting caught up in cycles of anxiety and giving yourself a panic attack. You're going to build a relationship with God. You've tried everything else and it doesn't work. I want to learn the unforced rhythms of grace. What does that life look like? I'm about it, right? But you've got to decide that. Nobody can do that for you, okay? And it can even be like myself. I wasn't walking with God. I didn't know you could have a relationship with God. First step, decide that I'm going to. Second step, get a Bible. Third step, start reading it. Don't give yourself a cop-out or an excuse, okay? And then in the present, stop agreeing with everything around you. Stop coming into agreement with it. Literally, Stop feeding on the news. Stop feeding on all these other social media feeds that just make you feel like crap. Stop listening to things that don't feed your soul, that don't develop your mind, that don't renew a right spirit in you, that don't keep a pure heart in you, that don't help you walk in wisdom and discernment. Stop. And if you don't have anything productive about your future to say and to speak over your life, if you can't speak life over you or your life or anybody else's for that matter, shut up. Shut up and learn how to speak life. Learn how to be a better receiver of things that are productive for you, that are actually freeing for you. But what does that require? It requires being set apart. It requires being consecrated. It requires doing this work that's in the dark, that's behind the scenes, that is not celebrated, that doesn't give you all the likes, that doesn't give you all the followers, that doesn't give you all of that, but it gives you freedom. It gives you inner peace. It gives you spirit-driven living and spirit-led success. And God knows exactly how to guide and establish you. And it is actually God that gives you the power to get wealth. So, that's all I gotta say. That was a doozy. I hope it blessed you. If this message did bless you and you haven't subscribed, God, girl, what is wrong with you? Make sure that you subscribe. If it has blessed you and if somebody's coming on your mind that you know that it would be a blessing for, copy the link and share with a friend. And if you are needing some help and some guidance around going through this kind of process, there's a lot of great resources over on julianapage.com. I've built a U 2.0 self-mastery course to help you start guiding yourself through answering some questions and doing the self-work that nobody can do for you. So that is a really great tool. There's also coaching programs there as well to really help you close that gap and get from A to B joyfully, where you can actually enjoy that journey. You can also follow me on Instagram at Miss Juliana Page, or you can tune into the Spirit-Filled Real Talk with Juliana podcast every Saturday. So you've got lots of goodies to help you on your journey. And I just encourage you. I honor the work that you're doing to develop yourself, to invest in yourself, to change and really steward a different legacy probably than you experienced. So I honor you, I celebrate you, and keep showing up, keep doing the work. All right, guys, until next time.